In the frozen heart of Russia, some stories are carved in ice, not ink. The land itself seems to hold its breath, as if guarding secrets beneath layers of snow and silence. Here the wind whispers through the pines, carrying echoes of mysteries that have never been fully told. One such story comes from the winter of 1959, a tale of adventure turned enigma. It began as a quest for challenge and camaraderie, a group of friends seeking to test their limits against the unforgiving elements of the Ural Mountains. But what started as a journey of ambition would soon become a legend shrouded in fear and speculation. 9 young skilled hikers set out into the Ural Mountains, led by Igor Dyatlov. They were experienced, resourceful, and united by a spirit of adventure. Each carried dreams, hopes, and the confidence that comes from countless hours spent braving the wild. They never returned. Their journey ended on a remote slope now known as Dyatlov Pass. The mountain, once just a destination, became a silent witness to a tragedy that would baffle the world for decades. What happened there has haunted investigators and storytellers for over 60 years. The unanswered questions have inspired countless theories from the rational to the fantastic, each trying to make sense of the inexplicable. The official records were sealed, the conclusions vague. Authorities offered little clarity, and the truth seemed to slip further away with every passing year. The case became a symbol of the unknown, a riddle locked away by time and bureaucracy. The hikers, experienced and prepared, faced something that defied all logic. They had survived worse conditions before, yet something on that mountain forced them to abandon all reason and run for their lives. Searchers found a scene of chaos, a tent slashed open from the inside, belongings left behind, and a desperate flight into the Siberian night. The snow preserved their final moments, frozen in time, but offered no answers as to what drove them to such terror. Why would seasoned hikers run into a blizzard, some barefoot? What could have been so urgent, so terrifying, that they abandoned all their gear and safety in the dead of night? What could cause such terror? Was it something from the natural world or something far stranger? Theories range from avalanches to secret military tests, from wild animals to supernatural forces. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a puzzle with too many missing pieces. Each new discovery only deepens the mystery, and every answer seems to raise more questions than it resolves. It stands as a chilling reminder that some corners of our world resist explanation. The mountain keeps its secrets well, and the silence that hangs over Dyatlov Pass is as deep and cold as the snow itself. The questions left behind are gateways to a labyrinth of theories, each more unsettling than the last. Every theory, every rumor is a step deeper into the unknown, a journey into the heart of human fear and curiosity. This is the story of a cold, dark, and unresolved chapter of human history, a story that continues to haunt the imagination, and a mystery that may never be fully unraveled. The story began with 10 friends, most of them students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, united by a shared love for adventure and the wild, untamed beauty of the Russian winter. They were young, ambitious, and eager to test their limits against the harshest elements nature could offer. Led by the determined and experienced Igor Dyatlov, the group set out to conquer Mount Otorten, a remote peak in the northern Urals. This was no ordinary hike. It was classified as a Category 3 expedition, the highest level of difficulty, demanding both physical endurance and mental resilience. The journey would take them through dense forests, across frozen rivers, and up treacherous slopes, all in the dead of winter. Early in the trek, one of their own, Yuri Yudin, fell ill. With a heavy heart, he was forced to turn back, leaving his friends behind. It was a difficult decision, but ultimately, it saved his life. Yuri would become the only survivor, forever haunted by the fate of his companions. The remaining 9 pressed on, undeterred by the loss. They meticulously documented their journey with diaries and photographs, capturing moments of camaraderie, laughter, and the breathtaking beauty of the snow-covered wilderness. These records would later become invaluable clues in unraveling the mystery of what happened next. Spirits were high as they built a storage shelter for supplies they would retrieve on their return journey. This cache was a sign of their careful planning and optimism, a small fortress of food and equipment left behind in the forest, marking their progress and their hope for a safe return. On February 1st, after days of steady progress, the group began their ascent of Kholat Syakhl, a mountain whose name ominously translates to Dead Mountain in the local Mansi language. The weather was worsening, but their determination never wavered. As a fierce storm descended, visibility dropped and the wind howled across the barren slopes. Forced to make a difficult choice, they set up camp on an exposed ridge, rather than retreat to the safety of the forest below. It was a decision that would later puzzle investigators and fuel decades of speculation. Why risk such a vulnerable spot, exposed to the full fury of the elements? Was it a navigational error, a test of skill, or simply exhaustion? This remains one of the first great puzzles of the Dyatlov Pass incident. Some say the storm left them no choice, that the blizzard forced their hand and made retreat impossible. Others believe there may have been other reasons, lost to time in the snow. The last photos show the group digging into the snow, calm and focused, working together as a team. There is no sign of fear or panic, only determination and trust in one another. In these candid moments they appear relaxed, even joyful, completely unaware that they were capturing the final hours of their lives. The tragedy that awaited them was unimaginable. That night, as darkness fell and the wind howled outside their tent, something happened that would end their adventure forever. The details of what occurred remain shrouded in mystery. The mountain's silence would soon be shattered by a mystery that endures to this day. Of the 10 who set out, only one would return. The 9 who remained would become the center of one of the most enduring and chilling mysteries in history. The group was due to send a telegram by February 12th. This was a routine check-in, a simple message to let their loved ones know they were safe. But as the days passed, the silence became deafening. When days passed with no word, concern grew among families and friends. They gathered, sharing their worries and hoping for any news. The once hopeful anticipation turned into a gnawing fear. By February 20th, search parties of students, teachers, and eventually the military scoured the mountains. The searchers, driven by a mix of duty and desperation, braved the harsh conditions, hoping to find any sign of the missing hikers. The search was grueling. Snow buried all traces, and for days nothing was found. The relentless snowstorms made the search even more challenging, erasing any potential clues almost as soon as they were discovered. Then, on February 26th, a pilot spotted the abandoned tent on Kholat Syakhl. The sight of the tent brought a glimmer of hope, but it was quickly overshadowed by a sense of dread. The tent was half buried, slashed open from the inside. This bizarre detail puzzled the searchers. Why would experienced hikers cut their way out of their only shelter? Belongings, boots, and warm clothing were left behind. A meal sat uneaten. It was as if they had fled in a sudden panic, abandoning everything in their haste. The only sign of the hikers, a line of footprints leading down the slope, some barefoot, others in socks. The footprints painted a haunting picture of their last moments. The footprints led toward the forest, 1.5 kilometers away. The searchers followed the trail, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they might find. The searchers realized this was no ordinary accident. The scene was too strange, too unsettling. Something had driven the hikers to abandon their camp in the dead of night. The hikers had fled in terror, leaving everything behind. The searchers could only speculate about what had caused such fear. The investigation had just begun, and the mountain was about to reveal its secrets. Each clue uncovered only deepened the mystery. What could drive 9 experienced hikers to abandon their only shelter in the dead of night? The question haunted everyone involved in the search. The answer would only deepen the mystery. The more they discovered, the less they understood. The world was about to learn of Dyatlov Pass. This remote icy wilderness would soon become the center of one of the most perplexing mysteries of the 20th century. The footprints led searchers to the edge of the forest, beneath a cedar tree. There they found the bodies of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonyshenko, stripped to their underwear, hands raw, branches above them broken. Nearby, 3 more, Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, were found as if trying to return to the tent. All 5 died of hypothermia. The real horror was yet to be uncovered. 2 months later, the spring thaw revealed the remaining 4, Dubinina, Zolotaryov, Thibaut Brignol, and Kolovatov, in a ravine. They wore more clothing, some taken from the dead. Their injuries were catastrophic, crushed chests, fractured skulls, but no external wounds. Dubinina was missing her tongue and eyes. Zolotaryov, his eyes. Officials blamed scavengers, but doubts lingered. Some clothing was found to be radioactive. The official cause, a compelling natural force. The files were classified, fueling decades of speculation. The scene was a tableau of terror with no clear answers. The Dyatlov Pass mystery had only deepened. The avalanche theory is the official explanation. A slab of snow, the theory goes, struck the tent, forcing the hikers to cut their way out and flee. It explains the panic, the injuries, and the desperate flight. But problems remain. No avalanche debris, a slope too shallow, and the tent still standing. The footprints were orderly, not chaotic. The injuries were inconsistent with a typical avalanche. The missing tongue and radiation add further doubt. The avalanche theory is tidy, but the facts refuse to fit. Another theory points to a secret Soviet military test. The Ural Mountains were a hub of Cold War activity. Some believe the hikers witnessed a weapon test, perhaps a parachute mine or radiological device. Strange lights were reported in the sky. Some clothing was radioactive. The case was swiftly closed and files classified, fueling suspicions of a cover-up. But there's no evidence of explosions or military cleanup. The theory is compelling but built on circumstantial evidence. The truth remains elusive, hidden in the shadow of the state. Folklore offers the most sensational theory, the Yeti. Local legends speak of a creature called the Menk. Some point to a blurry photo and broken branches as evidence. The theory explains the terror, the injuries, and the flight. But there's no scientific proof, no tracks, no hair, no real evidence. The Yeti theory is thrilling but unlikely. It turns tragedy into legend, but answers nothing. The real monster may be the unknown itself. Decades later, the Dyatlov Pass incident still grips us. Every theory collides with facts it can't explain. The avalanche theory can't account for the scene. The military theory lacks proof. The Yeti is pure legend. The story endures because it denies us closure. It speaks to our fear of the unknown and our need for answers. The hikers were real people, not just names in a file. Their diaries and photos remind us of their humanity. We want justice, but the mystery persists. Each new generation is drawn to the puzzle. The Dyatlov Pass incident has become a global enigma. Today, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains officially explained yet unresolved. The 2019 investigation reaffirmed the avalanche theory, but few are convinced. The core questions remain. What drove 9 hikers to flee into the night? What caused their injuries? Why the radiation? The case file may be closed, but the mystery is alive. Perhaps the truth is a mix of theories or something we've never imagined. Some questions have no answers. The 9 hikers left behind a perfect mystery, etched into a frozen mountainside, and perhaps that's how it will remain, an eternal whisper on the wind.